Imagine a scenario of evil and depravity, where humans seek to have relationships with angels, and their daughters are embarrassed by their own priest. Today, we explore the story of Lot, a man whose decisions placed him at the epicenter of extraordinary events. Prepare to be a witness to the judgment and fury of God, which will culminate in the destruction of a civilization. That's why I ask you to read I Like You, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end of this fascinating story. The first reports on Lot in the Bible are recorded in the book of Genesis, beginning in chapter 11. The history of Lot, a biblical character surrounded by uncertainty about the origin and meaning of his name, has been the subject of several interpretations. Some scholars propose that his name could represent the idea of a fleece that covers, thus indicating the importance of discretion and the ability to carry oneself well with others. According to the Bible, after the death of his priest, Lot dejó Ur de los Caldeos and traveled to Aram, accompanied by his uncle Abraham. Later, when Abraham left Aram, Lot followed him to Canaan. During a period of great hamble in Canaan, Abraham descended to Egypt and settled there. However, after being deceived, the Egyptian pharaoh expelled Abraham, who returned to Canaan together with Lot. During this period, both Abraham and Lot prospered significantly. Their herds grew to such an extent that the region could not adapt to both, which led to disputes between their shepherds. The contrast between Abraham and Lot in the biblical narrative is evidenced mainly by the fundamental decisions that both made when faced with the opportunities and challenges presented in their journeys. Abraham is characterized by his obedience and trust in God's promises. He reflects on the way you lead your life, how you guide your choices, and becomes a notable example of an individual who puts divine will above his own interests. It is worth remembering the episode of 3 mysterious visitors in Mamre. One day, Abraham is sitting at the entrance to his store under the shadow of Mamre's trees, when, suddenly, he becomes aware of the presence of 3 men standing in front of him. The intensity of the story suggests that these visitors have an extraordinary nature, as Abraham quickly stands in reverence before them. At this point, he demonstrates remarkable hospitality by inviting them to lie down and rest, while he offers them water to wash their feet and food to restore their strength. It is during this meeting that Abraham and Sarah receive surprising and transformative news. The visitors reveal that in this same period of the next year, Sarah, even though she is old, would have a son. This divine promise aligns with the previous one, in which God had assured Abraham of numerous descendants comparable to the stars of heaven. The story of the visit to the ground highlights Abraham's exemplar hospitality, which also reveals the intimate and personal nature of the relationship between God and his faithful servant. On the other hand, Lot seemed to be increasingly influenced by the temptations of the material world and seduced by seemingly prosperous opportunities. For these reasons, Abraham and Lot decided to separate. At the time of their separation, Abraham generously allowed Lot to first choose the land he would occupy. Abraham's decision to separate, seeking to preserve harmony and avoid conflict, highlights the spiritual maturity of this patriarch, which values peace and communion with God. In contrast, Lot opted for the green shores of the Jordan towards the Dead Sea. Attracted by the beauty and fertility of the region, he wanted to be influenced by purely material considerations. This decision, although understandable from a human point of view, highlights Lot's vulnerability to the seductions of the world, in contrast to Abraham's spiritual firmness. After the separation, Lot settled in Sodom, where he quickly became involved in local affairs and appears to have achieved a prominent social position. However, the Bible describes the inhabitants of Sodom as extremely perverse, which deeply distressed Lot. The Apostle Pedro in the New Testament describes how Lot grieved daily over the evil he witnessed in the city. While Lot was in Sodom, a battle in which the kings of Mesopotamia defeated the cities of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Seboim, and Bela, resulted in the sacking of the two sons of Sodom and the capture of many inhabitants, including Lot. Informed of what happened, Abraham organized a rescue force that in a night battle defeated the enemy army and recovered the possessions of Lot and his family. It was in this episode that Abraham met Melchizedek. Despite the war that involved Sodom, Lot left the city, and his story is intertwined with the impending destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, an event that symbolizes God's judgment